Okay, everybody, if you have done most of the past tutorials, this one will be really easy, and I'm actually only doing it to be complete in this series. We have done 2 against 3, we have done 3 against 2, we've done 4 against 3, all of these different concepts, and the one that we're still missing is 3 against 4. And you are already familiar with this basic procedure now. 3 against 4 means we now need a subdivision in 4 that we are then going to place something against. Subdivision in 4 means we have 16th notes, and I put it here in our graph. As we already know, the big blue dots are the beats, and I subdivide it into 4 subdivisions. If I wanted to count that would be 1E enter, 2E enter, 3E enter, 4E enter, etc. And I wrote that here. And the music notation would be 16th notes, assuming that the beats are considered quarter notes. All of this is old news, and you've seen it in the tutorials that we've already done. And now, just like we have done before, I'm placing a rhythmic motif, a very simple step maybe, or a sequence of claps over this grid that has the duration of 3 subdivisions, right? Like here, as always, I've drawn my little orange pictures here. It's the duration of 3 subdivisions. I'm marking the beginning of each with a full orange circle. So here we have all these groups of 3, and we just do them repetitively over the grid of 4 subdivisions, and that's why we call it 3 against 4. And you're already familiar. We can do this clapping, or we can do it tap dancing. It will be easy to think of a tap dance step that creates 3 sounds, like maybe a scuffle step, right? So that would be like, I can easily repeat this and have a nice accent, which would then be this graph down here. And the task now is to not think of these as triplets, which is what would happen if I just walked into the room and I would hear this. I would surely think that the dancer is doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and I would be wrong, right? Because what we're doing now is 1E enter, 2E enter, 3E enter, 4E enter. We have the 16th note grid, that's a given, and we're using the wrong number of taps and just place it over that grid. So it's 1E enter, 2E enter, 4E, etc., which is what this graph illustrates. The orange circle is the accent. If I mark this, it's an accent here, and it's an accent here, it's one here, it's one here, it's one here, etc. So I can see almost every time it comes around, it falls into a different place on the grid. It's right on the beat in the beginning, then it hits the last 16th note, then it's right in the middle on the 8th note offbeat, then it's on the second 16th note, and then finally it's on a beat again, but not on the 1, it's on 4. And this continues until eventually, a long time down the road, because this continues, it will hit a 1 again, and you can go find out when that happens. So let's see what this feels like in real life. One style of music that is usually, no, that's always in 16th notes grid is funk music. Sometimes it's swung 16th notes, sometimes they're straight. I'm using one that's pretty straight now, so that it's better to illustrate this. Of course, we all know that we could swing this too, but we're not doing that now. But let's have the grid. This is my groove. Here's the beat. Here are some lyrics. Counting would sound like this. 1 enter, 2 enter, 3 enter, 4 enter, 1 enter, 2 enter, 3 enter, 5 enter, 1. And then I do my dance to it. My couple step. 3, 4. This will be for 1 bar now. 1 enter, 2 enter, 3 enter, 4 enter, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? I'm confident that I don't need to explain this in more detail. However, if it is confusing to you, don't feel discouraged. Go back to the other tutorials where I explain the concept in more detail. It's especially helpful to do the tutorials of 3 against 2 because that will be a similar physical experience, and if you do the rhythms and exercises of 3 against 2 in a half-time feel, you basically are dealing with this. So you already know that I would usually start replacing any of these digits, any of these claps or taps by pauses, right? So for example, it could be just like two sounds and 1 pause, and then that would be right? Or have 2 pauses and just 1 clap. And again, that will sort of be the purest form of this phenomenon of 3 against 4, because we have the 2 steady beats, the actual beat of the music in the feet now, and the steady accents here in the claps maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, etc. So hopefully all of this makes sense to you by now. Did I forget anything? I'm not going to make an extra tutorial out of it, but I hope that we really understand that all of this can be swinging also. The 16th notes, 16th notes can swing just as the 8th notes can, and that will change the feeling of those phrases. But I think if we have all gotten this far, we know this. So let's continue with something a bit more fun and organic and not so theory. See you at the next episode.